Good morning and happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. And it is also day 39. One more day left. One more day. I probably am going to do this again sometime during the year, like in the spring or something. Not this with you all here, but for myself. I might do it another time during the year, just to reinforce some things. So maybe twice a year, maybe around the winter solstice to guide into the new year. I might do it as a public thing. Uh, and then somewhere along the springish or summer, I may do it privately for myself. Good morning. All right. So if you don't know who I am and you stumbled upon this live stream, good morning, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn. My name is Devi Maisha, and I am the Sensual Energy Alchemist. I'm a master life coach and teacher of sacred sexuality, and my business, Sensual Energy Alchemy, reconnects Black women to their freedom, their sovereignty, and their power through their sensuality and their pleasure. And we have been working through the Abundance book by John Randolph Price, also known as the 40-Day Prosperity Plan. And it's 40 days. We are on day 39, which means we are on statement 9, which I'm going to read, and then we're going to get into it today. But the question today is, but are you doing the work? That's the question for today. Okay, we're gonna get out of fantasy and denial a little bit on this fine Sunday morning. All right, statement 9. When I am aware of the God self within me as my total fulfillment, I am totally fulfilled. I am now aware of this truth. I have found the secret of life, and I relax in the knowledge that the activity of divine abundance is eternally operating in my life. I simply have to be aware of the flow, the radiation of that creative energy, which is continuously, easily, and effortlessly pouring forth from my divine consciousness. I am now aware. I am now in the flow. I'll read it one more time. When I am aware of the God self within me as my total fulfillment, I am totally fulfilled. I am now aware of this truth. I have found the secret of life, and I relax in the knowledge that the activity of divine abundance is eternally operating in my life. I simply have to be aware of the flow, the radiation of that creative energy, which is continuously, easily, and effortlessly pouring forth from my divine consciousness. I am now aware. I am now in the flow. So today I want to get a little gritty, a little real with you. The question is, but are you doing the work? If you've been along this journey, and whatever journey you're on, if you're on some healing spiritual journey, are you doing the work? So there's a couple of components to this. There's the beingness, and the understanding that you are the walking embodiment of this all providing source energy, right? There's that understanding. That's the beingness, and allowing that to flow through you. And I love the idea that we are human beings, and I understand the idea that we do too much, and we do too much often in the wrong areas. We do too much in connection with what we think the world wants us to be and who we think we need to show up in as the world, and we don't do enough in terms of who we are connected to that soul part of us. Because I mean, just in my opinion, if we were more connected to that soul part of us, the world would probably be in a little different shape. Not a utopia, but it would be in a little different shape than it is now. But even if you're being this conscious being of light and dark, because I believe we are both, there's still things you need to do. There's still work you need to put in. So during the course of this 40 days, there are some people who have definitely dropped off, which I completely understand. I mean, I've been there and I've done that several times. And I said that in the beginning. There are people who've hardcore been here, good morning. There are people who've hardcore been here doing this, writing out the statements. There are people who've been writing out the statements and doing the prompts. There are people who've been writing out the statements and doing the prompts and doing some additional whatever. And then so the question becomes, are you doing the work required to be the person you need to be to create the life that you desire? I think some of this is so nuanced because there is this place in which we are working way too hard, but again, for reasons that are not in alignment, right? There's a place where we're disconnected from our God self. And I'm trying to figure out how to say this because like the words aren't coming to me, and I often have difficulty. Like I'll feel the thing, but it's really hard for the words to come through me. So I'm having this internal struggle right now with 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 what's coming and the words that need to come out of my mouth. And basically what it feels like, and like y'all, I'm not trying to sound harsh, but what it feels like is like, y'all, things are not going to come to you just because you wish and hope. I was thinking about this as I was lighting my candles, and I was thinking about I lit my candles. There's a specific intention that I have on my altar right now. And I can have that intention on my altar. I could have it on my altar every single day. But I still need to take action in alignment with the intention. Like I cannot just create the intention and then just sit and hope and wish that things are going to happen. If what you're looking for is an abundant life, and let's just keep it, let's take it out of the ethers and let's just bring it down to the human level. Y'all want money. Okay? That's really why a lot of folks did this. That's why I did it at first. I mean, it shifted my life in a lot of other ways. Y'all want money. That requires energetic effort. It requires a flow and an exchange of ideas, of service, of something. If you've been doing this 40 days with me, we're on day 39, and you haven't felt uncomfortable at all during this, you have not done any actual work. If this has been smooth sailing for you, you have been on the surface level the entire time. So I as I was writing out the statement today, and I'm almost retired. This journal will be retired probably once this 40 days is over. I already have my new one waiting. I was looking at, as I was flipping, I found one page that I can't find again. But it was me really working through a lot of these money issues that I had, and I wrote down. I remember what I wrote. I can't find the page, but I had this fear of money abandoning me. Like it would come in and then it would just abandon me. And so I really had to sit with that idea. I am personally about really deep internal work. And where are my patterns and where are they coming from? So in the process of trying to find that page, which I could not find, I found another page where, and this is on January 21st, almost a year to the day, January 21st, 2023. I did not reach my income goals, but that is okay. And I wrote down my money fears. And I won't read you everything that I wrote, but here's some examples when I talk about what the work can look like for you and getting deeper with it. I have fears around receiving money. Why? Right? And then I started to list the whys of that, right? Roots of the fear. I started to list the roots of that fear. Then some of the patterns that I experienced. And then I asked myself, but why the roller coaster? What does it do for me? How do I benefit from it? And then I started to write out all of the answers to that. And when I tell you, as I read the answers right now, hey, I'm not that person a year later, but damn, I'm like, oh. So I'm going to be honest here because I am going to share this part with you because I want you to understand this doesn't just apply to your money. This applies to your relationships too. These things are so closely linked. Money and sex, money and relationships. They are so closely linked, almost one and the same in how we react to both of them. And guaranteed the same patterns you will find in your relationships, you will find in your money. I haven't met a person yet that has not necessarily been the case. So how I approached money before. Ooh, ooh. Um, when I asked about the roller coaster and what does it do for me? Mm, I get high off the victimization, is what I wrote down. There was something about me being able to hold on to the struggle story and the poor me that made me feel away. And I'm going to relate this to relationships too, because I want you to see, I want you to be able to see the deeper patterns. So I'm showing you what it looks like for me. So maybe you can see it in yourself, whatever that is for you. And if you'd like deeper assistance with that, that's what I'm here for. Let's book a call. Right. Because money, right, Zuli, because money is a relationship. Money is a relationship. I get attention. I can be helpless and irresponsible. I can claim poor me. So then I read through the origins of the victim story. Okay, if that's how I feel, what are the origins of this? Lineage, ancestry, my own experiences, sexual abuse, my watching my mother and my father and their experiences. I wrote the story is stored in my mind and my body. And then I wrote down this approach that I was going to take to work through those stories. Like I literally created a medicinal way to deal with those stories. And in dealing with those stories, and I didn't, I'm looking at now at it right now. I followed it, but didn't follow it to the T, but I did do a lot. And in looking at it now, it also shifted my relationships with men. This same questioning that I went through with my relationships with money also shifted my relationships with men. So if, for instance, I was feeling like money was going to abandon me, that was also the same idea that I had when it came to men. I had this feeling of chasing after money. Money didn't really want me, but I had to chase after it. And then I would get a little bit of it, but then it wasn't enough. And then it was, why is money doing this to me? You know, doesn't it just want to be here? Replace money with the word men. Same thing. I would chase men, you know, emotionally unavailable or just whatever it was, get the ooh off the chase, and then, you know, it was gone, and then I slide back, and then I chase after to get. It was this literally same back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. There was something about that experience that excited me, that gave me a feeling of being alive. Ooh, I had this much money, but I made this happen. Ha ha ha, I made it to the end. Ooh, see what I can do? See what I can do? With just this little bit, man, look at the magic of what I did. I made it work. When there was ease with money, I would feel slightly uncomfortable. Like, what do I do here? Same with men. If it was ease and he wasn't a project, I didn't know, like, what am I doing? Like there needs to be some work that I gotta this where's the struggle? Where's the it's just it's relaxed. It's chill. And so I had to see how I had been wired. This is why we talked about the nervous system. It's not necessarily this is why we talked about the nervous system, because we will unconsciously, subconsciously, not consciously, we will put ourselves in positions that we call self-sabotage because we are accustomed to being at a certain baseline. I was accustomed to the roller coaster ride, and if it didn't look like the roller coaster ride, I was uncomfortable. I was not okay with the flow. So I had to really work through those stories. Now, mind you, this wasn't just a year's worth of work that I did. There were already things that I had been doing. So these were like, oh my gosh, aha moments, but I had already been laying the groundwork for the year to really make it work. Add to that, I took a year off from men. I took a year off from my business. So when I ask you, but are you doing the work? And that was all very uncomfortable for me. It was all very not comfortable for me. So when I ask you, but are you doing the work? Like what are you willing to really do to get in the trenches if this wealth is what you is if this is what you say you want, what are you willing to do here? I was willing to give up the men and trying to run a business so that I could really accelerate and get to some of these deeper issues. And so much happened and so much growth happened that it could have still happened anyway, but it would have taken a longer time. And so now the energy around both of those have shifted, and I'm a lot clearer when it comes to money and men because they really do go. And this is the same for men, it's money and women, right? The sinking of all of this, the delving in, so truly appreciative of the shadow work, the perspective. You're so welcome. And it is the thing that we call the shadow work. It is that going deep. It is really being honest with yourself and coming out of denial. Really having to come out of the idea that you have it all together, really having to come out of the idea that no, it's other people, really having to look at you and sit with you and go, I've made these choices. Why do I keep making these choices? What does it do for me? And answering that question honestly, what does it do for me? When I spend my money, what does it do for me? Not, well, because I need the thing. No, 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 no. What does it do for me? How do I feel? When I have more money than I'm accustomed to, how does it feel? How does it feel? I'm gonna have to listen to that song. I might have to watch the video. Okay. When you're dealing in relationships, why do I keep choosing the same type of people over and over again? It's not them, it's you. Why do I do that? What does it do for me? What does this fill for me inside of me? For me, it filled a space of wanting to be taken care of. And as long as I was down here and was unwilling to do for myself and be the responsible grown-up woman that I could be, there was a part of the little girl in me that could still feel like somebody could take care of me because she didn't feel taken care of. Because I felt like I was so grown up then that as an adult I was like, no, I don't want any of it. But that's not the time. And I had to mourn that And I did some inner child work. I came across a letter I wrote. I had to really get into that and be like, look, that was what it was. Here is where we are now. And unless I was willing to be somebody's sugar baby, which I'm not, because I don't like being told what to do. I am not a sub. That was just not going to work. I was going to have to be a grown up woman and handle my shit. That's the work I had to do. That does not mean that it's necessarily your story, but I'm suggesting to you that if you keep finding yourself in the same loops and patterns over and over and over again when it comes to money or anything else, it is time for you to stop doing this surface look and really dig deep. And it is not a fun experience to really look at yourself and go, ooh, so I wanted that. Like there was a part of me that that enjoyed that. That's not sane. No, of course it's not sane. But awareness is key. Awareness is what helps you to notice and then begin to shift or decide that you're going to keep that behavior. I got a lump sum of money in. Let me stop for a minute. Let me let that sit. Let me let it breathe. Okay, let's just take a moment. Let's really feel into my body and see what needs to happen here. I just got a new job with a raise. Let me let that breathe for a minute. All right, let me not run off and do things. I just got a new $10,000 client. Okay, let's just let that sit for a minute. Let's not siphon it off. So let's just let it sit for a minute. Let's see how we feel with that here. Same thing when you find someone who loves you or you love them, just sit with it for a minute. Don't rush into, just be with it. Just let it marinate through you. Let the warm feeling, the fear, the anxiety, the joy, the all of that, let it work its way through you so you can find a new baseline. And each time that happens, a new baseline. Does this make sense? But if what you really want is this abundant lifestyle, yes, you acknowledge that you are the rich, omnipresent substance of the universe that is individualized as you. That is step one. You recognize that. You recognize the flow of this. If you just get out of the way, you recognize the flow of this. But the getting out of the way part is you doing that work because you don't even know that you're in the way. You don't know that you're blocking your blessings. You don't know that you are the obstacle. Money, love, health, whatever. And so this deeper work is for you to dissolve you as the obstacle in the way. So that flow is now does not have a blockade in front of it of your ego and your fears and your inner child and all of those things that are going to come up against the flow to try and stop it because it's not comfortable. It's not what it's used to. I hope this makes sense. So if you do this again, and like I said, all of the videos are on YouTube. You do this again, go deeper. Answer the prompts. Let the prompts take you where they need to take you. It's so interesting how money work can actually be a catalyst for so much else. We think it's just the money that we want, but we discover how in not allowing that to flow, we've also cut off joy, or we've cut off pleasure, or we've cut off love. In so many ways, we have blocked a flow. We have sat in bitterness and resentment Abundance can't flow with that. We have sat with fear and despair and grief. Abundance can't flow with that. And we have to be, I don't want to say vigilant because that sounds so heavy, but aware. One of the things that I need to be aware of as I continue on this journey and the things that I'm doing is that where I currently live is the longest place I've ever lived in my entire life, in my whole 50 years of living. This past 12 years, I've never lived a place this long. Some of you, your parents still have your childhood home, or they still live where you grew. Mm-mm. And so, for instance, the thing for me to be aware of is the fear of leaving a place, because I was so used to moving all the time. I had become used to that. I was so used to packing up, and for all kinds of reasons, from eviction to homelessness to just moving to schools to moving, I had become used to not staying in one place. And I didn't get used to staying here until about 3 years ago, when I was like, okay, I guess I'll get like some actual furniture. So now that I've settled and there's a piece of me being relaxed and a feeling of safety, what do you think could happen as I'm over here looking to expand my business because I'd like to move easily, without being aware? Easily I could contract that, not even consciously at all, and say, oh, it's not working, I guess I'll just stay here. Oh, it's not working out, I guess, And so for me, a lot of my work, my literal day-to-day work, is exhaling and being okay with the unknown, is exhaling and letting go and knowing that stability still exists, and that me expanding in other ways is safe, and that me moving is safe. It can be very easy for us to slide into something that we're just designed to want to stay safe, even if it means we're not happy. We will create situations in our lives where we swear it's not what we want, but it's what we're used to. It's the devil we know. And we will complain about it and circle it, wishing someone would get us out of it. Come on, somebody rescue me from it, when we're the ones who need to rescue ourselves. But the what's involved in the rescuing means getting out of where we're at and being someplace that that's brand new. And then the fears of, once we get into that brand new place, oh my God, what happens here? What if this doesn't work? What if that? And now having to deal with that. And this is why I needed that part of the correlation between men and money. I'm definitely seeing that in my life. Yes. And this is why the work is never ending. This is why it's just part of being human. It's nothing to beat yourself up about, like, oh, I can't believe I screwed it up. It's part of being human. And this is also why it's important for us to have compassion for people, even if we decide that they can no longer be in our lives because they've chosen not to leave what's comfortable for them, and we may have to remove them from our lives, but we can still have compassion for them, because it's really difficult to remove yourself from what you've always known even if it hurts to go to something new, because if you don't have the tools, you'll muck up the new and head right on back. It's how people find themselves in unhealthy relationships over and over and over again. Of course, they don't want it, but they keep being drawn to the same kind of person. And then when they meet someone who's not like that person, they're boring, or I don't know, it just didn't feel right. It was off, It wasn't as passionate. Sex is no, you're just used to all of the excitement of the toxicity. You want to turn the toxicity into that thing, and you cannot. And so in between that space, we need to do the work, breath work, meditation, inner child work, self-pleasure practices that help you to align, to rewire, because just like you got wired in pain, you can be rewired in pleasure. So many tools. We call this embodiment work. We don't need to focus on the story, but we do need to focus on how to readjust your baseline so that you're grounded, you feel safe, and you can rise to your next level. So that's the work. It's beyond writing the statements. The statements are a great start. They were for me. They were a really great start. And in each time I did this, it just, the levels, the levels, the levels. Yes, rewired in pleasure. We can rewire ourselves in pleasure. It does not have to be, it just does not have to be. There are times when I sit and I'm listening to something and I feel tears coming and I cry. I have no idea what the story is around it. I don't care. I don't need to dig into why am I crying or feeling sad right now. I stopped doing that part. My body needs to release something. I'm going to let it release it. It knows what it needs to do. And as it releases it, it'll fit itself into the places it needs to be. I don't need to rack my brain trying to get my mind involved. What was the reason for that and all that? I can do this work forwards and backwards because I do embodiment work and I teach it. But even when myself is sitting in it, if emotions come up, I just let them do what they do. If I'm feeling angry and I'm not exactly sure why, I just let the anger come out. I don't suppress it and go, there's no reason for you to feel angry right now. I don't know that. My mind doesn't understand. My body is saying, I need to get this out. So I give it space to do that. And maybe later on something will come to me. I don't know. And maybe it won't. It doesn't matter. But I'm not going to suppress the thing because I think there's no good reason for me to be feeling that emotion, which is also part of denial. And we have to get out of denial in order for us to see ourselves as this rich, omnipresent substance of the universe. All right. Statement 9. When I am aware of the God self within me as my total fulfillment, I am totally fulfilled. I am now aware of this truth. I have found the secret of life, and I relax in the knowledge that the activity of divine abundance is eternally operating in my life. I simply have to be aware of the flow and the radiation of that creative energy, which is continuously, easily, and effortlessly pouring forth from my divine consciousness. I am now aware. I am now in the flow. I just want you to picture yourself real quick as I was doing that. I just want you to picture yourself real quick as like this waterfall that is just flowing downstream. Abraham Hicks, if you don't know who that is, Google, YouTube. But Abraham always describes it as like, we are here to flow downstream, right? But we keep trying to like make it so hard and go up this way. When it's like, no, just flow. But I want you to imagine you are this water that's just flowing downstream, and you are also this brick wall that the water keeps hitting up against. And the water just really wants to keep flowing. And over the course of your life, the water does what it can to, just like as water does, it just releases pieces of the wall and the sediment and knocks it away, and it's doing its best to move it out the way, like just, but it takes a while to do that, right? It takes a while for water to erode a mountain, but it's flowing, it's going to keep flowing. But if you do your work on your side, on your human side, that will crumble even faster. And with your soul side and your human side working together, you remove it, it dissipates, and it's just like, wee. It does not mean that there's no heartache. It does not mean that there's no pain. It does not mean that there's no grief. It does not mean that only good things happen to you. It does not mean you don't experience tragedy. It means that you are able to ride the waves of all of that so you don't get stuck in it. This is what the religious text came to give you. That ability to move through those moments and still hold that divine essence energy and not get caught up in the experience, but to take the experience, alchemize it, and use it to continue your flow. So don't think that doing these things means that, life is just like, no. But it shifts how you begin to deal with those moments when they come. Read it one more time. When I am aware of the goddess self within me as my total fulfillment, I am totally fulfilled. I am now aware of this truth. I have found the secret of life, and I relax in the knowledge that the activity of divine abundance is eternally operating in my life. I simply have to be aware of the flow, the radiation of that creative energy, which is continuously, easily, and effortlessly pouring forth from my divine consciousness. I am now aware. I am now in the flow. And some of y'all might be like, but Maisha, you talk about like sex, don't you? And sensuality? Yes, absolutely. And can you see how this all ties in? If you can't come to the open houses that I'm having, you can sign up for 1, 2, 3, or 4. They are happening in the month of February during Lovers Month. I figure we might as well love on ourselves. And absolutely, this ties in. I work with women, and I work with Black women around reconnecting ourselves to our freedom, our sovereignty, and our power through our sensuality and our pleasure, because through religious ideologies, through cultural misconceptions, through racism, internalized racism, and internalized misogyny, we are not enjoying the fullness of our sensual selves. We are stuffing it in and holding it in really tight like this, or walking around in the world like this, but we're smiling, and but we're all clenched, and it's all clenched down there, and so then our sex hurts, and then we don't like it, and then we can only use the vibrators, and then we have traumas that we haven't dealt with, and we haven't been touched, so we're deprived of that. This affects our health. It affects our hair, our nails, our skin. It affects our heart. So yes, all of this ties together. And it affects our ability to really walk into the world in our flow, because we're so busy trying to contract. Like, is this right? Is this good? Like, so many of us are the people pleasers. Is this okay? Am I fitting what you need? Yes? Or we're just flat out angry because we're not being heard or listened to, and we just want someone to hear us. And we're bitter, and we're resentful, and we cry alone as quietly as possible. And we hide our pain. So yes, this all ties together. There is no separation. That is part of our problem. We are holistic beings. Money here, spirituality here, sex here. It's we there's no separation. We keep trying to put ourselves in parts as though the liver doesn't have any effect on the gallbladder, which doesn't have any effect on the spleen, which doesn't have any effect on the stomach, which doesn't have any effect on the heart, which doesn't have any effect on the lungs. Are you kidding? The shoes you wear affect what's happening in the rest of your body. So yes, it's all connected. Join me for the open house happening every Sunday in February. We begin at 3 p.m. It is free. There will be some coaching. There will be some teaching, all of it. That's right. We are all of it. There may be some games. It's an open house. It's just gonna be fun. It's like a come see what's going on in here. Come meet the host. Come ask questions. Come find out more. Come hang out with other women. Come know that you're not alone. Come see that there are women who are doing this work. Come know that there is sisterhood for you. Just come. My doors are open every Sunday in February at 3 p.m. on Zoom. We will gather on Zoom and we'll just commune. And I'll tell you a little bit more about some different things if you're ready to do this deeper work, if you desire to do this deeper work. Because the orgasmic pleasure isn't just for the bedroom. And it can happen without any intercourse whatsoever. The orgasmic pleasure, I mean. And there are so many ways that you can experience the fullness of that radiation and that flow of that abundant energy. So we're going to talk about it, along with fears and taboos and shames and the reasons why we might not be allowing ourselves to be as open as we would like to be. And how do we deal with that? And how do we walk in the world that way and be our most authentic selves without being so afraid of judgment, the judgment of others? Because that's real. Right? All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me on this Sunday. Tomorrow is day 40. It is the last day. If you are in the Facebook group, I'm about to put up the link. I had it ready. I didn't realize I didn't put it up. I'm about to put up the link for our wrap-up session tomorrow evening at 8 p.m. As long as things don't go awry for me. Remember, I'm still working for the next 12 weeks. I'm still a Monday through Friday person for the next 12 weeks. So hopefully nothing goes awry. But I'm going to put the link in for those of you in the Facebook group to register. And I will also send out an email for those who are not on Facebook. All right, all. Thank you so much for joining me across all of the social media platforms. I appreciate you. So much more to come in so many ways. I'm excited. And I will see you all tomorrow for day 40. All right. Have a good Sunday.